In this video, I'm going to show you the editing modes in Pro Tools. Let's check them out. In the top left-hand corner of the toolbar, you'll see these four boxes: Shuffle, Spot, Slip, and Grid. Now this is pretty simple. If you're in slip mode, you are not tied to these grid lines. If I make edits, I can make very smooth edits. I can edit in between the grid lines. It's no problem at all. If I go to grid mode, now I am constrained to those grid lines. And that can also be very handy. When would you use each of these? Well, if you're editing audio that's been recorded without a click or anything, for instance, an interview or maybe classical music rarely uses a click in their recordings and you have to edit it, then you're probably going to be in slip mode. You will probably also be in minutes and seconds for your main counter, and it allows you to just kind of smoothly edit as needed. If I am in grid mode, now I am locked to these grid lines. And I can change the size of the grid lines, the grid size setting, with this grid value pop-up selector here. Right now it's set to 1 second. If I'm in minutes and seconds, I can go down to as little as 1 millisecond. And that's a very, very small grid size. But I could also go to bars and beats. In bars and beats, now I am in musical time, and this kind of makes more sense for grid mode because a lot of the time in grid mode, you are editing MIDI or quantized audio or a song or a beat that was recorded to a click track, right? So a lot of dance music or hip hop or any kind of modern pop will be recorded with a click track. And then instead of having to like guess where the bars are, you can say, oh yeah, I need to cut, bar 2 out. And I can cut that, and there it is. So grid mode is very useful. Now, if you notice, grid mode has this drop-down arrow, and that is very handy. Let me explain what that does. So let's suppose that you have a clip, and it's in between the grid lines. And the way I did that in grid mode was I held the Command key down. When you hold the Command key down, it sort of defeats the grid temporarily. And now the start of this clip is in between two grid lines. And I want to move this by one or more grid increments, but I don't want the beginning of the clip to snap to a grid line. I want it to maintain its position in between grid lines. Well, for that, I just click on grid mode and choose relative grid mode. It's purple. And now I can move this audio clip, and it does move in grid increments, but it maintains its relative position between these two grid lines. Shuffle mode is very interesting, and you have to be careful with it. What it does is it allows you to snap clips together automatically. So right now you can see here I have 3 clips, 02, 03, and 04. If I delete 03 in shuffle mode, then it snaps 04 to the first clip 02. And so what it did is it moved all the audio kind of forward in time to the left. And you have to be careful with that because let's say you are editing drum tracks and you accidentally get in shuffle mode. You can hit a function key and it might, swap modes on you depending on your preference settings. So you want to cut out hi-hat bleed in a snare track, and so you cut out that hi-hat bleed, but you're in shuffle mode, and now all your snare track is like off because it shuffled it like snapped it further in time or earlier in time. Another thing shuffle mode does is it swaps clips. So here you can see we have 02, 05, and 06. But if I take this middle clip and drag it to the left, you can see this yellow frame pop up. And now instead of putting 05 over top of 02, it just swapped their positions. It shuffled them. 05, 02, 06. So you have to be careful with shuffle mode. It does come in handy in certain situations, but like I said, just be careful. Finally, there's spot mode. Spot mode is used primarily in post-production for putting sound effects at exactly the right spot. So if I try to edit, a clip or move a clip, it's going to bring up this spot dialog box, and then it allows me to place that clip at an exact spot. For instance, 06 seconds, and I know we're not in minutes and seconds in our main time scale there. So let's go there. There it is. 6 seconds. So those are the 4 modes, and I am in slip or grid probably 99% of the time, and so you probably will be too.